Calling to order the Municipality of Monroeville's first budget hearing. It is October 28th, approximately 6:30 p.m. If we'd all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty, justice for all.
Welcome, everyone. We'd just like to start with, I just want to start with a thank you to our staff, our municipal manager, Tim Little, our Josie Rock, our finance director, all the department heads. We'll be hearing from some of them this evening. The budget process, it takes a tremendous amount of work, so I thank the staff for putting this all together and getting us to where we are right now. But this is our first of two budget hearings. No action will be taken at this meeting. No voting will be taken at this meeting. This is just a hearing. And then we will have another one prior to our Citizens Night meeting next Thursday. And then council will deliberate the budget at that time for 2022. So with that being said, we're going to start with our presentations this evening. Actually, I'm sorry, we have a section first for public comment. If there's anyone from the community that would like to comment about the 2022 budget, now would be your chance. Just giving you the shot. Very good. Closing that section, we're going to move over to our department heads. And actually, we're going to move the agenda around a little bit. We're going to start with the fire chiefs this evening. If they're here, if you guys want to come up and present your budget, that'd be great.
Then EMS at expenditures.
Welcome, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Yes. And just for the record, we do have a quorum right now for council.
Except one of them just walked out.
We're still good. We're still at our numbers. And gentlemen, will you have one spokesperson or multiple? Or
Yeah, I'll be the spokesperson.
okay. And Scott, if you want to just say your name for the record. Whenever
I'm
we get
Scott Faze. I'm the fire chief of Monroeville Volunteer Fire Company number 4 and the Monroeville Fire Chiefs Committee head. And with me is Deputy Chief John Hoffman from Monroeville Fire Company number 3, Chief Corey Ramsey from Monroeville Fire Company number 6, Benjamin Rudd from Monroeville 5, and Jason Sonnefeld from Monroeville 1. So thank you for giving us this opportunity to come to the budget hearing and discuss our budget. We thank you for all your support that you give to the fire department, EMS, and this municipality, and we do a much better job because of the municipality of Monroeville giving us the assistance they do. So our first, we actually have two sections in the budget for fire suppression, 2,200, and we only have one correction to the budget that was presented.
Excuse me, Scott.
Sure.
Council, page 41
Yeah.
is fire.
Tim, lower your mouse.
Page 41 is fire suppression, and page 47 is ambulance service.
Okay.
Just so you know.
Hey, Tim,
It's a lot easier to go by page numbers.
I don't have a budget book.
What?
You didn't get yours. Well, you weren't at the meeting.
Pardon me?
Oh, that's
Last
right. You
month.
weren't at the meeting. It's probably up in your mailbox.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
Get it.
Okay.
He's gonna need it.
Yeah.
We'll get it for you.
Yeah, I'll get it. I'll get it.
Thank you.
Your office. Yeah, it should be up in his mailbox.
Thank you.
Scott,
Yeah.
proceed.
Sorry about that. Under fire suppression 2,200 on page 41, there's just a minor detail that was that was missed from last year to this year, and it has to do with the fire agreement. Pardon me. In the fire agreement, the line 411-520 VFD allotment shows the proposed budget for 2022 to be $47,500, and that should be $50,000 even. I think it was just an oversight that it didn't
Chief,
get.
that was
Yeah.
due to the new agreement signed after the budget, correct?
That's correct, yes.
Yeah, so that figure is actually in the agreement, we already
That's-
agreed to, we already signed off on it, and this is just a clerical.
That
thing
is
we gotta
correct,
correct.
yeah, it's
No
clerical
problem.
correction. Thank you. No other changes for our budget for fire suppression. For ambulance service, 2,400, and that is page
47.
47. We have no additions or corrections to that.
Mayor, I have one comment on the
Mr. Harvey?
EMS. And that is, last year, we signed an agreement pretty much with Pitcairn and Burr to be their EMS provider. And it says that the approved rate that council reduced it to was $800 a month. And that we will, 1 year later, the EMS service will be reevaluated for Pitcairn. And so I'm just asking the chiefs and Scott, is that good to keep it the same?
Yeah, I think everything's working out well with them. I think we should assist them with EMS. They really don't have any other option, and we've been doing that for quite a few years as good neighbors. And I think
Cost-wise, I think is what he's asking. We reduced the fee.
From
Is it
1,000.
working? It's,
How many calls do you get down there, Chief?
that is fine. Actually, that money goes right to the municipality. It doesn't come to us, so it's like an agreement that you're providing service to Pitcairn Borough by the municipality.
So that's not really
It doesn't impact us only from a call volume standpoint.
so.
Is that okay, the volume,
Yeah, the
it's okay for you
volume,
guys to
the
handle?
volume's pretty steady. We go to Pitcairn about 600 times a year, and we haven't seen an increase or decrease in that over the past few years that we've been going down there.
600?
Yes,
Wow.
in a year.
This fee is only to offset the cost of fuel and maintenance on the ambulance that goes down there. It has nothing to do with what they.
No, I know, but gee whiz, all right.
Right, because this is just for that part of it, and then you're able to bill the
That's correct,
patients,
yes.
of course.
Yeah,
Yeah,
correct.
certainly. So you're saying that it's okay as is?
I believe
And I
it's
think
okay
it's,
as
I think
is.
it's good to be
Yes.
good neighbors with Pitcairn, and I think it's a win-win.
Yeah.
And we'll leave it the same.
If everybody okay with that on council?
Yeah, so we don't need to revisit it
No,
for municipalities, right? Gentlemen? Nothing.
Unless the borough of Pitcairn's requesting a new signed contract, that's between the
Mr.
municipality,
Little, you're
Monroeville,
okay-
and
you're
borough
okay with
council.
the-
Yeah, I
one-
haven't had any feedback on that has been working out from a financial perspective. So,
So the call volume hasn't shot up so high that this isn't covering the
No,
expense.
that's
But,
correct.
but you get reimbursed for your calls.
We do. We
Oh,
bill,
okay.
we bill the customer that we transport,
Right,
and
right.
whatever they pay us is what we get. And
I got a couple of those this year, too. Thank goodness these guys were there, believe me. Appreciate it.
that's what we're here for.
Anything else you want to add? Next
Yes,
item?
one more thing I just wanted to bring up as a reminder of the purchase of the new tower ladder for Company 4 coming up in 2022. The specification process is nearly complete, and I had forwarded that in the pricing to Manager Little. And it is not fully approved yet, however, it's still in process, but it's near the end of the process. And the plan that I had discussed with Manager Little was to get this approved in December and make payment on it in January of 2022.
Well, we
How many
haven't,
bids is there?
we are looking at a lot of different ways of financing that. We
Okay.
may not pay cash for that, because I just happen to see, I know there is a discount
Yeah.
for paying cash for it, but it may have to be leased, I don't know. We'll see how that all works out.
Well, my question was, how many bids are there that we'd have to look through between now and the end of the year to approve this?
Well, I gave one to Tim, and what happens because we put all of our apparatus purchases on CoStars, anybody has the opportunity to bid it.
Okay,
And our bid is, our specification is for Pierce Manufacturing, which
So
is
who-
the same manufacturer of our current truck. So we have a specification from them.
Okay.
And that will go on on CoStars. Are you familiar with CoStars?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Well, CoStars, it'll go on there, and any fire truck manufacturer has the option to bid that truck.
So you
And
mean
they can bid.
you could get other prices in,
You
After,
could,
now.
not likely though.
okay, because
Yeah.
that doesn't sound like the name. Ben, who did you guys use for your last?
We used Emergency One, and it was a very similar situation where we were looking for very specific options to use this fire truck specifically for our needs in Monroeville, the way we operate, just the same as they do. And they worked with that manufacturer to come up with this spec, and then once it goes on CoStars, like you said, the other manufacturers could bid on it, but the likelihood of another manufacturer taking that and beating their prices
Because
is
it's the
not.
CoStars includes the state discounted
right.
yeah, piece of it.
Yeah,
Okay, that's why I was gonna say,
yeah.
I didn't hear of that company before, but
Yeah,
that's
we've
what I was thinking.
they're both larger manufacturers in Monroeville. There's E1s, Pierces. There's a few.
Figure that are on CoStars.
Chief, how many ladder trucks does Monroeville have throughout this system?
We have 3,
3.
yeah. One at Company 4,
Four,
one at Company
five, and
5,
what?
and Company 1.
One has, okay.
They have what's called a quint. It's a pumper and a ladder truck all
Yeah.
together. It's good for the smaller communities like down in Mellon Plan. That truck fits so much better in the smaller streets and
Right.
stuff like that. So that's why they decided to go with something like that in that area.
Mary, I have one comment. In the capital budget, this truck is in 2025. It should be up to 2022.
It's listed for 20
25,
in the capital improvement.
In this new
but it
one?
needs to be listed in 2022.
Well, just for council's information, you have a copy of a very rough draft of the 5-year capital improvement program. And I ask all the department heads to discuss very briefly their capital along with the 22 budget, very briefly, because the numbers, as we move along here, this is going to take months to vet and to see what we can afford, what we can't afford, but that'll be changed. That's an oversight.
I just,
That should
yeah,
be-
but it was in ink, and I wanted to bring it up. It's in the wrong year.
Yeah, it should be in 22.
Okay.
Because that's 2 years past the original lifespan of the apparatus.
And I didn't look,
And you guys-
is there anything else left in this agreement that has to be purchased?
The only thing in this agreement, which is in 2023, wait, no. the
23,
engines-
24, 25.
Yeah,
they
23,
refurbs.
24, and 25, a refurbished pumpers for $150,000 each, one in 2023, 24, and then 25, from Company 4, 3, and 6.
The
And
chiefs-
that was in lieu of replacing those apparatus, because we as a group decided that these apparatus that were up for replacement really don't need replaced.
Just
They
refurbished.
just need refurbished, maybe some updates,
Right.
and we don't, because a new pumper these days is costing anywhere between $650,000 to $700,000, and we said, we really don't need to replace that amount of money
Right.
with this, and we can do it by just refurbishing them and making them last a little longer. Potentially,
Do you
like up
feel
to
they're
5
built-
years.
Do you feel they're built better as well as probably that you're given better care?
Well, maintenance is a big part of it,
yes.
since the municipality has a good maintenance garage, the apparatus gets the attention it needs.
Right.
And it's right here in our backyard. It's not like we have to take it very far to have it repaired and stuff like that, so.
I might
and-
add to council that when we met with the fire chiefs to go over their new agreement and we were scheduling this stuff, because we didn't know where this pandemic was going to take us money-wise or budget-wise, this was their effort to help make
Help
it
us get
fit.
through
Yeah,
that.
I was going to add that too.
Yeah.
It's greatly appreciated.
Yes.
The refurb piece, that's greatly appreciated.
Yes.
Chief,
Oh, absolutely.
do you see down the road that the 150,000 is going to be enough because of how prices are increasing as we go further? Are you budgeting enough to do that?
Well, actually, this is the first time we're ever doing anything like that, so this is kind of a trial and error type thing. We'll probably learn from this situation now. And, obviously, a lot of factors play into refurbishing apparatus, because depending on what needs done or what updates need done,
Right.
depends on the cost. Obviously, if they would evaluate that particular piece of apparatus and they found a lot of items wrong that need either replaced or updated,
Right.
or
Are
like
you-
major electrical
It's one thing if the
issues or
frame
something.
needs refurbished as compared to just a repaint job.
Right.
Exactly, right. Yeah, lighting is. and
It's gonna
electrical.
vary on vehicle.
Are you
Each
saying
vehicle
that
is gonna
our-
be different.
Are you saying that our mechanics will be doing the refurbishing?
No, that'll have to be done by a third party. Yeah, that's
Right,
something the
right.
mechanics
So-
will be able to do.
So I would, if I were you, before you commit to 150,000.
It's already in the agreement.
It's already committed to.
We-
Already in there.
like-
Well, but my point is
Yeah.
that I would get a price today to see what they're charging now. They may be charging higher than 150. I'm speaking, thank you.
I understand what you're saying, Mr. Wilson. Obviously.
I'm just trying to protect you
Yeah,
guys.
yeah. We're gonna have to wait at least about another year, so we can, like, in 2023, whichever piece of apparatus needs to be refurbished at
Right.
that year, it's gonna have to be evaluated at that time.
Yeah, there's a lot of
I don't
time
wanna- I don't wanna get
between
any
So
now and
there is
evaluations
some
now.
flexibility for you.
Yeah,
Okay, that's all I'm looking
Yeah.
for.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of time between now and then, and we
Yeah,
are a few years out.
exactly.
Let's all stick with 2022. I think that's going to be hard enough to do. But Scott, to your point, though, as far as that ladder truck for '04 that's coming, that seems to be something that Mr. Little
Yeah.
and Ms. Rock, they can discuss and start figuring out the financing portion
Yeah.
of it. And for the listening, audience, we keep mentioning about the agreement. Wait, we're just not buying a fire truck for this budget. This is something that's already in play. With
Right.
Fire
Correct.
agreement, it's already
Yep.
signed. We've already worked through these things, as we always do, to support the fire departments, and it's the best way to do it, so we can plan for the future. But, yeah, that's already been kind of established for the fire agreement. So as far as that, the financing of it, we can talk about that at a later time. But as far as sticking with the '22 budget, was there anything else you guys
Yeah,
wanted to add or discuss?
we have no other changes to add. If anybody has any more questions, I'd be glad to entertain those.
Council, any other questions for the chiefs at this point?
Thanks, Scott.
Good job.
No, thank you,
Yeah.
Thank you
guys.
very much.
We appreciate your service, and thanks for coming out here tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Fellas.
Thank you for your continued support. We appreciate it as well.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Thank you. We're going to move over to Jared Robinson, our department head for TV 15, and he may take a few moments as he comes up from the studio.
Tim, what page is he on?
That's on page 101.
I'm actually doing a work problem.
And then, Mr. Little, while we're waiting here, the rough outline of the capital improvement plan. This
Yeah.
is just a draft, and then what's your
Okay, it's a
vision?
draft. If council wants to make comment, review this, make comment to any of the department heads at this hearing, next week's hearing, at any time for that matter, they can obviously talk to the department heads tonight or next week, or they can have questions, they can ask me, they can ask Josie. This is a very rough draft. The summary page kind of tells the tale with everything, more so with respect to revenue sources. We've tried to keep it around $15 million or thereabouts, but the only revenue source we have is the transfer that we make each year. And we have grants, but grants are a thing that you don't know if you're going to get the grant. So that's, in really what this product is showing you is what the department heads need for the next 5 years with respect to capital. That's what it's really showing on the expenditure side. So the question becomes, how do we finance it? And that's.
This does not include the new public works?
No, I have a qualifier in there on one of the pages. The pages aren't numbered about the Public Works building. That's unknown. Council has allocated funds in order to find out from architects and engineers what it would cost. We did that, I think maybe about 4 months ago. Council passed that amount of money to have architects and engineers who we've had meetings with, and that's right now in the process. That's not with this. In that,
We haven't got anything back enough to even,
no.
do you anticipate in the next couple of months we will?
I would highly doubt it. They are in the process. Right now, they have core borings marked down at the Public Works Building in order to do core borings to find out, get soil samples. That's
Okay.
where we are right now.
That's where we are on that, okay.
Yeah, so we're still in the beginning stages of that.
And certainly, Mr. Little, you're not looking for council to pass the capital improvement.
No,
budget by
no,
the end of
no,
the year,
no.
Just to be clear for everybody.
No.
Okay, very good. So let's start with, welcome Jared, if you want to start presenting your budget, that'd be great.
Thank you very much. So I've had a full calendar year at this point to, go through a whole budget process that I hadn't had at this time a year ago. So just the way that my department handles expenditures and things, I proposed a few changes, but largely the budget from 2021 is the same for 22. So just kind of to go through some of the changes. And when I say changes, sort of what I did was funnel money that was in certain line items to other line items. So there's just one proposed increase, but the changes that I'm getting ready to outline, that's sort of the crux of most of them. Just allocating funds from one line item and putting them to others. So if we can look at, starting with, I guess I'll say that 210 general office supplies stayed the same, 231 gas, oil, and lubricant stayed the same, 245 electronic parts stayed the same, 251, 321, 328, no, we don't have that one. 375, 420, 450, 460, 470 I don't handle, and and 900. Those all stayed the same. So I'll just focus in on the ones that I'm proposed changes. So the first one is 247. That was what was referred to last year as film and photo supplies. I've proposed to have that, just the name of it, changed to video and photo equipment. So as far as the amount that I'm proposing to allocate to that line item, so this year for 21, that amount was $3,200. So I'm proposing that one to be an increase to $9,000. And where that $5,800 for that increase is coming from is
Radio and communication.
correct. 327, the radio and communication equipment. So what I proposed was to zero that one out, take that $5,800 that was there, and move that to 247. So again, same amount, just allocated differently. We follow that?
Yep.
Okay.
That's an easy one, Jared.
All right. Sounds good. So the next one is hardware, 252. So what I did there was I swapped that with 740, so it's the same amounts.
Yeah.
So hardware was 7,300 last year, and I swapped that with 740. So okay, sounds like we follow.
Yep.
All right,
We're with you.
sounds good. So now we go to, I touched on that, the 327 radio and communication equipment, that one's zeroed out now. So then I think last is the one increase that I'm proposing for this year. That would be for, I had Josie add a line for our department that we didn't have prior to, so that's 331, traveling expenses. So what that is for is I was proposing to have the opportunity to attend a conference next June, I believe it is, in Chicago. So it's for an organization that I joined last year. It's called the Alliance for Community Media, and it's a nationwide organization that serves as an advocate of sorts for PEG channels, public education and government. So we're under the government tier. So, yeah, they serve as an advocate of sorts. There's all types of resources. They stay on top of legislature that comes out of D.C., nationwide legislature. It's just a wealth of information to kind of.
I think it's a good thing for you to do. Anytime you can do a conference and get more knowledge, you can bring it back to the municipality and incorporate it back into our system. So I think that's a great idea.
I support that too.
Yep.
Nope, I think it's a great
Anytime you
idea.
get more information, that's for sure.
Good job, Jared.
Okay, well, thank you very much. So just to touch on.
Excuse me.
Oh, yeah.
I would like to ask you, though, when you come back from the conference, if you would present what you learned at the conference to council.
Okay, that's a deal.
Good.
Yeah, that's a deal.
Oh, we know you
It'll be on TV.
didn't take a nap or something.
Well, actually, I did participate this year, but they had a remote sort of a thing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I learned a great deal from the one I did this year. So next year, kind of getting back to their normal sort of a conference. I'm guessing I would learn a great deal more.
Yeah.
Very good. Any other
Physical
questions for
education
Jared?
is great, yes.
Any other questions, council?
Good job, Jared. Thank you.
Good job,
Thank
Jared.
you.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The capital improvements, briefly.
Yep.
Should I proceed with that?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
We should say page number.
Yeah, there's a table of contents.
What page
I
are
have
we
on
looking at?
schedule. This is Schedule 2, right, Tim?
We know.
I don't know.
It's the very last page.
I don't think there is.
TV 15, very last page.
Very last, yeah, the pages aren't numbered. Didn't get that far yet.
Studio upgrade.
Okay. The studio upgrades.
Yes. So I sought a quote essentially from an engineering group that did the previous install back in, I believe, 2011. It was the previous install of all of our equipment down in the control room. So I sought a quote from them. So we kind of talked some things out as far as what we were looking to do. So a couple things. One is our switcher is in need of an upgrade. So it's operating on a Windows 7 based system.
Jeez.
Yeah, Windows 7 is outdated.
Vulnerable.
A little bit.
So then from there, the switcher is sort of the brains of everything that happens that we do downstairs. So then from there, it's time for us to get into the high definition realm, at least the way I see it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
How old is it?
11.
Switcher.
And that was put in, I know the last major upgrade was 2011. That I know for sure. I'm not sure what components maybe were updated.
That was the panel, because I remember when that was done. I don't know if it's the same thing, Jared, the panel and the switcher. You and I talked about that, that whole panel. In fact, I remember how much it cost. It was $110,000, something like that. And,
So it's
but I
10
don't know if
years
it's the
old.
same.
Right.
Oh,
It's way outdated, though.
that's awfully, leaves us very vulnerable, as we were just saying.
Yeah, I think
Is
that's-
that maybe something we shouldn't think about moving into the current budget? That portion of it?
Well, that is for 2022.
But it's in the capital,
Yeah.
proposed capital.
Right.
Shouldn't we move it into, maybe think about moving into the solid budget?
Well, you can do that. Yeah, you can do
It's a
that.
good idea.
Yeah, because we can't take a chance of someone getting in there and doing.
Not a Windows 7.
Someone could be putting stuff up on the TV, TVs.
Right.
that
What are
don't
the
need to
two
us.
amounts?
So, well, there's more than two amounts, but there's two issues. So one is the switcher, and then off of the switcher, it's hard for me to say what equipment you need, because you get a new switcher, then some of the other components that we have might not be compatible.
Oh,
so
they won't.
might
They won't talk to each other.
Right. It might correct. So
buy
it might
one, you
make
need
those necessary to be upgraded as well.
Would that be the 23 proposed amount, or would that 166 cover all of the stuff you're thinking of with the
So
switcher?
the 166 was my attempt at taking everything that I was given in the quote and putting that in 22, and then the 74 is that same quote, but it was what in my estimation could be moved back a year or so.
Okay, so really to get this, replace this switcher and the components that would go with it so that everything can talk to each other and work
Right.
correctly, you're saying 166?
Correct.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Would you go with 10 or 11 windows?
As far as, I'm not even sure that this new is not computer-based.
It's a different.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
It doesn't
Yeah,
operate on
it could be
like an
a
operating
big
system.
change in 10 years, yeah.
Correct.
Okay, terrific.
So just to be clear, if the 166 was approved for 22, what is the 74 in the next year going to be for?
So, again, that was my attempt at taking what I was given quote-wise, because the quote was, laid out line by line. So, I don't know what you have in front of you, but just for instance, a control room console was quoted at $16,000. So that is essentially a desktop, a tabletop.
Is that over and above the 166?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's for
The
more
total
things later.
The total project was $240,000.
Okay.
So it was 166, and then 74, like I said, pushed back to another year.
Well, I think we ought to put the 166 in the budget.
That's what I said. You have to. And then
I
the
just wanted to better
74,
understand it.
yeah, the 74 would be for things he would like, that he said can wait for another year.
Or put it in capital.
So then you put, or in the capital or next year's budget, but, yeah, I think the 166 ought to be moved over
And
for the security of the borough and the TV stations.
I agree.
And then also to some
Works
of
for
this,
me.
well, leave some of the architecture open enough so that, as we had to discuss with IT, website information, things along those lines, I know those are some doesn't really matter where we put it, but I mean, from an IT perspective as well, there are a number of things, I know we discussed things, live streaming capabilities via the website, via this, all of those are more integrated now as they were in different silos in the past, too. So we're assuring that, hopefully, when we hear the IT piece, if there's anything to integrate, make sure that there's,
Right.
that they're
There's
connected.
network infrastructure as part of that.
As part of that, yeah, that's great. Okay,
Yeah, network
terrific.
infrastructure for sure.
Right. Because again, I'm, you made me dizzy with the Windows, but from a security perspective, thank you. Okay, keep moving forward. Let's do that
Well,
quick,
let's
more
do a little
quickly than we
faster.
have.
Yeah.
Please. Okay, please. So follow up with it. Thank you.
Okay.
So if you integrate with those guys.
Good. I'm
All in
glad you brought
support of
it
it.
up.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so talk to Mr. Little, as you move forward with this. Certainly, once again, this is a budget hearing. We're not making official decisions right now. We still have to vote on the budget, but, as we get closer to approving the budget, those are the kind of things that we'll be putting in or taking out and
Yes.
moving things around, so.
Right.
But I think we're heading in the right direction with this.
Understood.
Okay? All
Okay.
That's great.
Thank
Very
you
good.
all very much.
right, Jared,
John.
thanks.
Thanks, Sharon.
Good
Good
job.
job this year, by the way.
Thank you.
Next up is our library. We have Nicole Henline, the director.
Page
Thanks,
are we
Nicole.
on?
You have a voice, Madam Director.
I apologize for my lack of voice. It's coming back, but it's taking its time.
I
But
didn't notice
promise
that when you texted me. Obviously, I wouldn't make
it doesn't come
Of course, I
across
could
in
listen,
text.
I just hear the lady if I put it on audio to play it,
Yeah.
but-
Tim, what page is the budget on that?
Library, what page you on there,
93.
Nicole?
93.
93, all right.
I wanted to thank Jared
Gotta turn it
for his support this year in everything he helped the library do, especially when everything went virtual. He has done so many great things, and so I just wanted to thank him for that.
Nice.
And thank you for your continued support of the library and the community. I've passed around a newsletter that highlights
Did we
what
get
we've been
paid?
able to do in 2022 and 2021. I'm very proud of what the staff has been able to accomplish despite being in the middle of a pandemic and working with just over half of our traditional staff. We're requesting a small increase for 2022, 3% over our 2021 budget. And here's why. Our current staffing situation is no longer sustainable. Decreased support from our local municipality will result in a loss of funding. State waivers will be going away soon. And because of the way our revenue streams work, we will lose even more money if we cannot return to previous hours, circulation, and other usage factors. Our current hours are a barrier to serving all of your constituents. We can't be open as much as people need us because we don't have the staff. We've built a relationship with the community, letting them know that we can help them and that we can be part of the solution. Now when they call, we have to say no more often than not. The board staff and I have spent the past year and a half working strategically to best serve the community and to find a way to move forward to provide an even better community asset. On page 93, you'll find the budget that the board and I know is the necessary amount to move forward and best meet the needs of your constituents and our community, providing them with the library they deserve and have come to expect. What we're doing is we are requesting, instead of bringing back part-timers, we are requesting 4 additional full-timers, and that would zero out the part-time budget. That would allow us to return to our normal 63 to 67 hour week, restore our share of the RAD funding formula, allow library programs and community meetings in the evenings and on Saturdays, family place programming and services, Maker Lab open hours, workforce development, and so much more. So that is the request, and that is the only change, is the staffing. Everything else has remained pretty even.
Nicole, how many full-time staff do you have right now?
11.
11. How many part-time staff?
4.
And you're asking to go to 21 full-time?
No, we're asking to go to 15 full-time.
You're going to replace the 4 part-timers with 4 full-timers. There'll be no part-times. So it's going to be 15 total. You have 15 now, but it's going to be 15 full instead of 11 and 4.
Yes.
And
And that'll be your, I'm sorry.
yeah, I was going to say, you had previously in last year's budget, additional part-timers budgeted that were not filled.
Right.
So-
Pre-pandemic, we had 21 full-time equivalents. So you take the full-time, the part-time, you add them all up, divide by 40. We had 21 people,
Okay.
even though it was 31. So this wouldn't get us quite there, but working with the numbers and working with our other funding streams, we believe that this request will get us where we need to be to get back to where the community expects us. And, you know, they've been so great and forgiving because it's the pandemic and they know things are strange, but they're starting to come back and say, well, why can't, you know, Monroeville Toastmasters meet on Wednesday? Why can't the Monroeville Historical Society meet on Tuesday? Because we can't be open those evenings. So we want to get back to where people need us to be, where we can get back out into the community to meet them where they are, especially as the pandemic is wrapping up and people need us to not just be in the building, but also to be reaching out to them at the senior living facilities, the preschools, the different schools, community groups, things like that, and this would allow us to do that.
So, I'm sorry, so pre-pandemic, how many full-time people did you have?
11. But we had 20 part-time, and that equaled 10 full-time.
The hours, it equaled 10, not benefits, not health benefits.
No,
It didn't equal that.
the hours, it equaled 21 full-time
For
people.
hourly, but
Yes.
certainly there is expense with full-time
Yes.
employees with health benefits. Certainly, okay. So you're saying, forget the no part-time, just all full-time employees, but 15 of them?
Yes.
Okay.
And that gets us back to the RAD formula, to the people that are listening in. It's a very complicated piece that includes employees, our contribution, but then you mentioned some of the other activities that we're denying people come in.
Yes.
Figure into that as part of the door count of people to come in the door. So it's not just circulation numbers, but people that are in there and the uses of it. As such, we're losing,
We are.
yeah, to do that.
A lot of the programs that you're putting on, that I receive, 10 a week?
Wonderful. It's very interesting. Pre-pandemic, our children's programming was are creme de la creme.
Right.
But because of the way the pandemic happened and kids are on screens all day, they don't want virtual programming. So our adult programming has actually taken off. Our Zen Tangle, which used to meet once a month and have 10 to 12 people in person, now meets twice a month and has 35 to 45 people attending virtually. So it's really cool to see. And when we looked at these positions, we didn't say, what did we lose? We need it back. We said, what do we need to serve the community? And that is what we're asking for.
Now, can you also, just for the people that are listening, what you guys have done outside of what the council has given you guys, the money that you raised for the improvements that you are working on and have worked on this past year?
Yes, we pay for all of our programming expenses, all of our continuing education expenses, more than half of our contract services, all of that through non-municipal funds. We also do fundraising. Thank you to everyone who supported the library for Love Your Library. We brought in about $15,000.
I think half of that was mine from Amazon.
Yes, Amazon designation.
And if you don't know, you can sign up on Amazon for Amazon Smile, and it costs you nothing, and you donate to the library.
Yes.
So we've also, in the past, we raised all the money to put the elevator in. We are working on raising all the money to do this Discovery Garden project, which we're very excited about, with Parks and Rec, and we believe will bring people together in the community and provide just some really great opportunities for learning and connection. I'm trying to remember if there's
Grant
anything
funded
I've
also
forgotten.
the repairs and the ongoing repairs, some of which,
We do cover some of the ongoing repairs, not out of the municipal budget. We replaced an air handler or something that required a crane from non-municipal.
Air conditioner.
It sounds expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I think the crane itself was like $15,000. It was crazy.
cranes are
But we
expensive.
paid for that out of non-municipal money. So we really do try to pull our weight, and we believe these part-timers or full-timers, in addition to just giving us what we need to function well, people who are full-time, they're coming into our community, they're buying houses, they're putting kids into our schools, they're paying taxes, they're staying. Right now, we are training people to go to other libraries. I'm very proud to say that we are a respected library across the state. I don't want to lose that, and that's why we need to rebuild this. But they know that if they get one of my staff members, they're getting someone who can do customer service, who goes above and beyond. And I'm very proud of that, but I would like them to stop poaching them. And I would like to keep them here so that they can be part of this amazing team.
So the full-time people that you're talking about, these are positions you've had in the past? Like, is there job descriptions for these positions? Are they in, like, what are the categories?
They
that fall
are,
under?
what we did was we looked at, okay, right now where we are and where we think we need to go, what do we need? We said, forget about what we used to have because maybe that's not where we need to go. We need a children's programming and outreach librarian, and that is to offer early childhood and school-age literacy programs, STEM programs, availability, coordinate more closely with the schools to meet the needs of students and teachers, reinstate programs at the library to those who need it, especially focused on those with limited transportation. Previously, we were able to do summer pop-up libraries. We were not able to do that this year because of staffing. We really were excited. We've been wanting to work with the municipality on the camps, and we were asked this year, and we didn't have the staff. So that kind of stuff we really want to get into. That person would be able to help with that. A volunteer coordinator and technology specialist who would help us build this robust volunteer program that we're working on so that we can expand our services without necessarily expanding the bottom line. But you do need staff time to get that coordinated. That would be about 10 hours of that person's day, and they would spend the other 30 on customer service, especially technology. That Maker Lab is awesome, and we need to get more people in it, and we need to get more programs going in it. A children's circulation specialist to help with children's desk coverage. Those are the people who welcome everyone when they come in and say, you know, I will help you find this over here, whatever you need. They also keep the room straightened up. They process the materials that come in to go on the shelf. Trust me, they do not come ready to go. So they do that. They work on cataloging. And so that would allow the people who are doing that right now to get back to more programming. Because the hardest hit we took was we had 6 or 7 children's employees. All but one were part-time. So right now, we go back 1 part-time. We have 1 full-time, 1 part-time. They're dying. And we know that's not necessary. We know that we can do an amazing job in the children's room. And the last one would be an adult services librarian. More of that customer service, technology, and helping with planning the Discovery Garden and the adult programming and teen programming that would go into that, not just once it's finished, but now, as we're building towards it, canning classes and where does your food come from, and you know, let's meet at the park and look at all of these great herbs and things that they're growing and learn about them. So organizing that kind of program would be a small part of that person's job.
Do you have a figure as far as the salary and the health insurance, what we'd be talking about for these 4 full-time
It is
people?
in here. Yes,
So the increase is in your salaries and then also in the health insurance?
it is in both.
I was looking at the numbers here, and Josie, where's Josie? Oh.
Yes.
You have to look.
I
I mean,
moved.
it's so, I was wondering where you went.
She keeps
She's
moving
never
a
left.
Social
lot.
Security contributions have gone down, and the pension insurance has virtually stayed the same. If, say, you're increasing 149K, and we've talked about this before, but you're saving 198, which is good. But the Social Security and the pension has not increased. Now, there's a 6-month probation period before you actually get into the pension plan, but that doesn't seem like, that seems like that should increase to a certain degree. Now, I know we divvied up according to the, what the State Auditor General gives us with respect to the units, Josie.
Uh-huh.
And you probably just counted that. I get that. So maybe if there's 4 FTs, then another,
Yeah, I'm not sure how we got that.
you probably got, like we talked about,
It's
how
in-
we divvied up the pension among.
Oh, the
number of
pension,
employees.
yeah, I'm sorry.
I'm
I
talking
was-
about the pension right
I was
now.
still on Social Security.
I don't want to get into the nitty-gritty and
And-
the grass on this. Josie and I can talk about it tomorrow, but those numbers jump out at me on the Social Security and the pension. Now, the health insurance goes up.
Yeah.
Okay, that goes up. But Josie and I
So that's about
can,
a-
Josie and I can work that out. We can
Yeah.
talk about that.
That's about over 100, that's like $107,000 for health insurance.
The
So we're
bottom-
looking at like $250,000.
The bottom line is a $50,000 increase from last year's budget.
Overall and all the.
Overall, we
Overall.
have
Overall,
about 20,
to reduce
yeah,
it.
overall, about 40,000, it's actually about 39,000.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. Any other questions, council?
I have a question. You mentioned volunteer program. How many volunteers do you have now? And do you work with Gateway High School with high school students as volunteers?
We do. We only have 2 adult volunteers right now, but we have probably a dozen school-aged from different programs, whether it's the school district or a couple other community programs. At my previous library, we had a volunteer presence of 50 people every week. So I know we can do a more robust volunteer program, but we need that staff time. We were able to do a lot of virtual training on how to start a volunteer program because I've run one, but I didn't start it from scratch. So we're kind of starting a little bit from scratch. And one of the first things they say on every virtual training is that it costs money to recruit volunteers. But once you have them, you have a great opportunity to increase your reach even more than you could without them.
Okay, thank you.
Who manages your volunteer program?
Right now, one of my circulation clerks manages the adult people, and my assistant manages the younger people, because they usually have things you have to sign off on and all of that. So my assistant and circulation supervisor does that.
How many adult volunteers do you get?
It all depends, because we're looking at a lot of good opportunities for volunteers to help free up staff to do more programming and service. So whether that's shelving books, whether that's helping put together some of the kits and things that we need for story time, whether it's helping set up and tear down for programs, whether it's the Book Buddy program, where once COVID's not as big, we can actually have people volunteer to have a buddy in the community and take materials to them.
Oh, we were doing that before.
Yes.
Yeah, it was happening before.
Yeah, and it's a great program for community connection as well
Is
as
our
just
Human Needs
service.
and Resource Board up, Tim?
Pardon me?
Is the Human Needs and Resource Board back up and running?
We've tried to meet twice, and we didn't get a quorum. We've met twice, and then the subsequent two meetings, just about 10 days ago, we didn't have a quorum, and so.
Oh, I was just thinking that might be a really good parlay into.
I would love to work with them. We talked to them not a long time ago, but doesn't pre-COVID seem like a long time
Yes.
ago?
It does, yeah.
Not
we-
long enough, but yes.
Yeah, we did talk to them because they fit very nicely into a program that we received training under a grant called the Harwood Initiative.
Okay.
And we're still working under that as much as we can with the
Yeah.
resources we have, but we would love to work with them.
But I know the Park and Rec working with you guys is really working out very well, I think for both departments. The Halloween thing together, that was amazing. It was really something to be a part of.
Thank you.
Yeah, you guys
I-
all did a fantastic job from every side,
It has
including
been-
Public Works making hot dogs. Let's
Yeah,
not forget that.
yeah.
Everybody pitched in. It was really
This
great
year,
event.
I just can't thank enough. Parks and Rec, like I said, the TV station,
Public Works.
Public Works.
Public Works.
If anyone has not seen the progress on the driveway, it looks great.
I saw the pictures.
Um,
Yeah.
So, and it's kind of cool how they put it in, so if you have a minute to stop by
I'm
and,
going to drive down tomorrow. I haven't seen it since they
Yeah.
put it in.
They added the
it's really cool
space.
watching them for a minute put it in. I've never seen anything like that, and the kids love it.
Yeah.
Why do you need books and toys? You can just have construction.
Yeah, construction, yeah.
So Nicole, and then lastly, so you mentioned about the hours you want to change. So what are the current hours for everyone listening?
Current hours are Monday and Thursday from 9 to 9, Tuesday and Wednesday from 9 to 5, and Friday from 9 to 4, Saturday 10 to 2. That excludes any of our groups. Previous to the pandemic, we actually put in another room, Jonna's room, because we had so many people wanting to use, so many community groups wanting to use our spaces. We never had enough to do both our programming and community group meetings. So we know that already on Mondays and Thursdays when we're open till 9, we do have a lot of community groups coming back, and we have a lot of people who have called us and asked for Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and we just can't at this point. And having a half-day Saturday is not convenient, and it's not going to be sustainable for state funding.
So are you saying by adding in these further people, you'll be able to extend those 3 days?
Yes.
And that will take care of the Saturday longer into the evening and the other 2 days, and that'll give more room for groups to come, more times
Yes.
available. Okay,
And more programming and more outreach.
perfect.
Nicole, I'm looking at your 2021 annual highlights, and I looked at the last page here, and what it says is for each dollar invested, $3.40 in value is returned to the community. You're doing a good job.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good, Nicole. Any other questions for budget?
I'm not finished.
You have a budget question?
Yes.
Go for it.
Before the pandemic, how many volunteers, adult volunteers did you have?
2. Well, no, probably more like 12.
Okay.
So it's just those 2 that have come back.
Okay, now how do you go about recruiting volunteers?
Well, that's part of this program that we're building. We have a committee right now working on it. We have a couple different ideas to do some outreach and do some orientation programs to talk to people about what they're interested in. Some people want to come every week for 2 hours. Some people only want to come 3 times a year for 2 hours. So we have to figure out both those daily tasks and the once in a while tasks. And there's some stuff we can send home with people. The take and make projects are extremely popular. That's where kids can take arts and crafts and STEM activities home and do them there. And all the directions and pieces are in there. They're hard to put together. And we have 1 or 2 amazing volunteers who take them home and do them while they're watching TV or whatever the case may be. And we know we can extend that volunteer base if we have the staff time.
I just want to thank you for the huge upgrade that you've done since you've been here with our library. It is just a tremendous program, and you do one heck of a job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Any other questions, council?
Finish your
Thanks, Nicole.
steroids.
Nice job, Nicole.
2 more days, then maybe I can sleep.
Thanks, Nicole.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks to
Thank
the
you
rest
so
of
much,
the board
and
and
thanks
folks that
to
came.
the-
Thank
all
you
you
all,
guys.
guys.
Hope you're
Thanks.
feeling
Appreciate
better.
Oh, I would
Thanks for
like
coming
to
out, folks.
thank my board. My board is amazing. We have the support of council, the support of an amazing staff, and I couldn't ask for a better board. So thank you for appointing them.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
Council, moving over to our finance department. We have our department head, Josie Rock.
Well, hello.
Welcome.
Stay for
Good evening, everyone. I basically gave you handouts that
Yes, thank you, Jeff.
are kind of duplicating what is in the book.
What
But
page of the book is it?
I'm sorry?
Page 21 in the book.
Yes, it's page 29 in the book. Is it 21 or 29?
129, which one is it?
21?
Yeah, 29 is
That's the
done.
chief, yeah, 21.
Okay, sorry I
Unless
didn't
you want to be the
update
police
this.
chief.
Okay.
Please, Chief.
Essentially what I did was, just, show the percentage increase, over last year's budget. And we've had a 14.6% increase, which is mostly due to the real estate transfer tax and the general municipal pension state aid. And both of those, we don't have any control over. That's, the real estate transfers based on how much property is moving. So I basically, in 2020, we had 1.3 million, and I kept it at that because, there still is it's a vibrant real estate market, and that was about it. So,
Excuse me, Nicole, what page are we on?
21, but I gave you a handout.
Yeah, I'm on 21, I don't see that, those numbers. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, 21 should have the 2022 budget request numbers. That would be the first column in the handout. The other thing I did for the revenue is give you just a little trend information to show how we, kind of are pretty much staying, well, we were staying at the same for 18 and 19, but we've taken a little bit of a hit, and that's probably due to COVID. The next page is a picture for you, which just shows you how the revenues are divvied up and where all the revenues that are come into the finance section should be clear about that. So that's that page. And we'll move on to the expenditures. What I did in the expenditures is split it between salary and benefits and controllable expenses. Our salary and benefits for finance had a 1.86% increase, and it pretty much is going to stay the same because there's no really significant changes. The controllable expense had a decrease, and that decrease is related to switching to AccuFund from Munis. Other than that, everything's pretty much the same. And also, your next page is going to be a trend, so you can see at a glance how, we've kind of maintained. Again, we had higher expenses in 18 and 19, and they're kind of leveling off in the 2021 and 22. And the next page is the pie and health insurance and salaries, pension. That's most of the pie. And that's just salaries and benefits. Your longevity, Social Security is the smaller amounts.
Now, where it says health insurance, 25%, did our insurance go up 25%, or what's
That's
that mean?
25%
Of the pie?
of the pie.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm like, because I was
So-
choking
Yeah.
over here at the thought.
No, it's just showing you what it costs.
Okay.
To
I
run
just
it.
wanted to verify that
Yeah, to
I
run a
wasn't looking at that
department.
wrong. Okay, good.
And then again, you have the trend information. I actually did not have the time to look into why 2020 was so high with regards to the other years. But I will get that information and get it to you.
Yeah, you have my curiosity piqued on
I
it.
know, and I just realized that like later on when I was kind of reviewing it. But yeah, it's I couldn't think of what it was, but anyways, I'll get that information to you. Tim will pass it on to you.
Okay.
And then with regards to where most of the controllable expense in finance is, that's accounting and auditing, which we're required to do that. And bank fees and penalties, and that's credit card fees, any other, fees that you might be charged for, that don't really fit anywhere else.
Right.
So, and that is all I have for the, my budget. So if you have any questions, that very last page, I'll go into after you ask your questions about the budget.
Yeah, one quick question, just, tourist-like question too. So how did you, regional asset monies and tax, do you have a good source of that, or is just still a wild guess here, the 700,000?
Well, that's based upon previous.
If there's a better
And you know
source
what,
for it.
I believe that I brought that down because I was concerned about the COVID,
Right.
because that seems to be like on a delay with hitting
I was
every.
hoping you gained some insight
I
in the
did not.
process and to hear where that is, because they certainly haven't, the regional district, the last couple of years has sent us information directly to elected
No,
officials. We
I
haven't seen
didn't.
anything.
I was just anticipating COVID. and
That's good
We get
conservative.
more of that
Yeah,
than,
like I said, just
Yeah.
a passing question.
yeah.
Certainly, no, it's great, thank you.
Any other questions?
Nope.
Okay.
Good job. Yeah, so next, that last page.
That last page, Tim and I and Darlene have been looking into outsourcing our accounts payable payments. And that's becoming more and more popular because of it's more secure than writing checks and sending them in through the mail. Let me go through and back up a minute. What says how much does it cost? What happens is we give whatever company we decide to go with, or should I say you decide to go with, we upload a file to them of what we want to pay to our vendors, like our list of bills. And they take care of sending checks or paying them via ACH or paying them with our P card. The goal of this is to get more vendors to accept the ACH or the P card. Just because, like I said, there's fraud associated with checks. Checks are time consuming. It costs money to send them out in the mail. The good thing about using the P card is the more you pay per month on that, the higher your rebate's going to be. So our rebate right now, with the minimal amount that we put through on our P card, we get probably about $60 to $80 a month. But you can significantly increase that. If you look at this, how much does it cost? This was from Huntington Bank. They were the first one to talk to us about it. And since then, we've met with 2 other vendors. But they're all basically similar. They all make their money the same way. So this first example is if you have 59% of your payments as checks, 40% is ACH, and 0 on the credit card, or they're calling it a virtual card. The fees for their services, based on $1,700, which is way higher than what payments we make a month, is about $2,000. If they switch that up, where we drop the checks to 40%, add ACH, and then the virtual card, you end up making money because your rebate ends up being higher than what you're spending for the service. The rebate from using the P card for the... So at this point, we don't have enough information to tell you what that fee would be. We're trying to give these suppliers the information they need.
So when you talk about the P card, are you basically, it's almost like a credit card, like a
Yes, it's a
cashback, like points
credit
type
card.
situation? Is that the rebate
But
you're talking about?
I believe what they do is they set up a separate section so that they're making, it's almost like an ACH that they're doing through your credit card. And that's how they pay that.
Like, we have personal credit cards that we use, and we get 2% back.
Right.
It's the same kind of concept, correct?
Correct.
So that bills are being paid on the credit card, and we're
Right.
getting the percentage of whatever that is in a rebate form. So you're saying,
Yes.
in the long run, by not sending a check, paying by the credit card, which you're
Right.
calling the P card, would actually make the municipality some
Yeah.
money instead of costing us.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So it will pay for itself, in other words?
Pretty much, yes, it will, yes. And
And so-
actually, the last person we talked to, it was a company called Paymerang. He mentioned that in our case, it wouldn't cost us anything. We would benefit from this. And
Okay, so would that eliminate a position then?
no, not at
Okay,
all.
Okay.
Not at all. It would actually free up some redundancy because a lot of time is spent taking those 400, whatever it is, checks each month and stuffing them into envelopes and mailing them. And
Oh, I see.
that would be
So
eliminated.
that's a manual job in
Yes.
order for you to pay your vendors.
That's it. That would be eliminated because we're uploading the file, and the provider is either gonna send the check and mail it, and it doesn't cost us. But what their hopes are is that they can get more people to use the ACH or the, the virtual card.
Well, can't you tell your vendors that you're going to this system, and if they would remain our vendors, they accept it?
Well, you could, but I think they do that for you. We
Okay.
don't really have to get involved in
Oh, good.
selling that to the
Okay, good,
vendors.
yeah.
And do vendors get charged more, or, if you're paying them with that P card, do they get charged a fee?
Or is there an incentive for them?
The incentive is when the vendor.
Like if someone
gets it-
pays a store with a credit card,
Right.
the store, a couple percent, they lose
Yeah,
some money on the
3.5%
transaction.
or
Is that how
whatever.
that would be for our vendors if we were using the P card and or the virtual
I-
card?
I don't have an answer to that because it's not an actual, I don't think it's gonna be the actual credit card they're using. I think like they're saying, they set up a virtual card. But that's a good question. Like I say, we're at the early stages of this, but
I think
we
it's worth
felt
looking
we
into,
should mention it
definitely.
to
We really
you.
have some hours as far as the manual stuff, because then you still have your staff having to upload these figures to the banks. It's almost like online banking, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you have to enter the information, and then
Well,
then
they
the bank
do.
will
They
then-
still have to do that. But the savings is just uploading it could probably take 5 or 10 minutes.
Well, it sounds like you need some more information.
We do need
Before we
more
go-
information.
I think it's worth
Yeah.
looking into.
Forward. I think
Yeah,
it's a
we're-
great
yeah, we're-
concept,
We just wanted to mention it
yeah.
at this time.
I think it's a great
Well,
idea.
I'm a little confused as to why so many checks have to be mailed. I probably maybe send out 2 checks a year anymore.
Yeah.
Because I do everything on online banking.
Well, we don't do that.
Yeah.
We're still writing the checks and mailing them. Actually, probably the better way to go would be ACH for the vendors, because they get the money the day that we upload it.
Right, and the bank makes all the transactions. I mean, I've
Right.
seen where they have mailed a check or they have just made the ACH, the transfer. But the bank does that. I don't have to. I just go down and say, Duquesne Light, which counts
Yep.
there, I paid every month,
Yep.
167, pay tomorrow,
Yep.
done.
I think, to me, one of the more important things is that it cuts down on fraud.
Yep.
Because with checks, you
Yep.
can, they actually, the thing now is people are presenting checks via they'll make out a fraudulent check, deposit it through their phone, and,
Is it a direct deposit for the vendors?
And then
right, and
And
then, yeah.
They draw on the check faster than it goes
Faster
through the
than it
system.
goes through the
They walk out
system.
of there with the
Yeah.
cash.
Yeah.
I heard about that, yeah.
Yeah,
So it's something that's definitely worth looking into. I think it's
Yeah.
a good idea, and if we can
okay.
I think it's a
free up
great
some
idea.
time, save some money.
Yep, absolutely.
Keep
Yeah,
Vendors
digging.
get paid quicker.
Keep digging.
Yeah, well, would like to get it implemented by the new year, but that depends on, cooperation from other people.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, nice job, Josie.
All right.
Thanks,
Josie.
Josie.
Next up,
Thank
we
you.
have our, Sharon, you okay?
Thanks, Josie.
You're okay. Next up, for our Parks and Recreation Department, we have Paula Stock presenting this evening.
Here, if you want. Sharon needs one.
Thank you,
Sharon
sir.
needs one. Thank you.
Just give me the rest of it, and I'll hand them down. So you can just get it. Okay.
Stop there, I'm not.
Thank you.
Is Doug coming tonight, really?
Thank you for having me. I'll try to make this as quick as possible. and knows who's behind me. So,
You take your time.
but again, this council and the mayor and Tim, the support we had this year for the rec department was great. I mean, I don't think we're just heading in the right direction. It's so much fun to see the things that's going on with Public Works and us working with them, and to see what we've done in a short time, I think has been admirable for everybody. We got a good rec board now. We just filled up our last seat, Mr. Harvey's seat. We have that person on board now. So we did lose somebody, but I think we have somebody in place in Steve's ward, so we'll have to figure that out. But we're heading in the right direction, so I thank all of you for that. Just real quick, we'll go through some highlights. I just kind of highlighted a few things on here for our highlights for 2021. The concert series, again, I think people wanted to be outside. I think it was just amazing this year. Really hit home for people being outside, doing more activities. So I think it went very well this year. We did use sponsorship from last year that we didn't use from UPMC 2020. We carried it into 2021 to cover our expenses on that. Again, it says we had around 3,000 people in attendance. I can't say enough how much just people want to be outside. So
Pages 70
Yep.
through, 73 through 77.
we're going to do with revenue. Yep. You want to do revenue or expenses?
That's the expenses
Yeah.
on the revenue.
Yeah, revenue and then expense. Revenue will be 42. I did that 42, 43, and 44. So I'll go through these pretty quickly. Outside rentals for this year, with regards to pavilions, everything was just unbelievable. Again, people wanted to be outside. We were booking picnics during the week, so it was fantastic. The Monroeville Park, in the parks, what we've done this year.
Pickleball's gone crazy.
Yeah, but, thanks to Linda, she spearheaded this, and the council for helping us out with this ADA and specialty swings we've added in all the parks. I think it's a tremendous asset. People love them. They enjoy them. They appreciate them. They really like the swing that they can put their own phone in there, take pictures of their children. So it's been great. We completed the Evergreen Park Rehab project. We used the money we had from a grant, but we also, Mike and Paul were able to find some other funds to do a bunch of other things. It worked out great. Greenleaf, we took some stuff out of Evergreen, and we used it over at Greenleaf. Plus, we were to have some funding to also purchase some additional equipment. That is up and running. Mike just put the sign up the other day. I know I did advertise for us to have an open house there, a little reopening on Saturday. The weather is not cooperating as we speak right now. I did talk to Tom and briefly with Linda. We're thinking maybe we should delay that because the kids just aren't, it's supposed to rain, and I don't know what we should do.
All day, it's
All day.
90% chance.
So starting tomorrow, right now it's 60% at 10 o'clock. It's supposed to rain all night. So I'll leave that to council, but I think maybe it'd be nice to get kids out there to play. I just don't know if they're going to come out.
Actually, I took some pictures with my grandson, as you know, because I wanted to go and check out the big spinner that we had ordered. And Jared, with him not being here the last few weeks, he's going to try and upload some of the pictures for Thursday Citizens Night so that we can actually show the equipment that was
Right.
put in over
Right.
there.
I think it might be sense.
That'll help.
Yep. Just from quick highlights here, we rented out over 600 facilities last year, over 600 last year. We've already booked 85 for this upcoming year, so things are off and running. A lot of outdoor programming went very well this year. We did very well with outdoor program with Zumba and different dance classes, and Eric can attest, his wife was never home because she was always at a class.
Always.
But it was great, so everything worked really well there. Indoor stuff, unfortunately, has not going as well because of COVID. I think they're still a little leery about coming inside. Our swimming program has struggled a little bit. I think, again, we're maybe about 50%. We're behind on that. But again, we're progressing in the right direction. I think that's the most important thing here. Monroeville Day Camp. We usually have 25 to 30. This year, she had around 15 to 20. She was able to hold it this year with restrictions and stuff like that. I did highlight here swim dates at Garden City Swim Club on Fridays was fabulous.
Great.
The partnership with that worked out great. They really worked hard with us, and we appreciate it, and it worked out really well this year. So that's what I wanted to say there. Capital improvements, I don't have anything here today. I'm going to come back next Thursday with Paul. Paul has, it's all underneath his department of all the things he wants, so I'll come back next with him and Mike and Jamie and be a part of that. So there's nothing for me to talk about capital improvements. With regards to, we want to start with revenues, is that okay, or do you just want to go to the expenditures, whatever's
Go
easiest?
to the expenditures.
Okay. So with regards to expenditures, quite honestly, nothing has changed. I've not changed anything. We've kept everything basically the same. Again, we are still behind on a few things, but, you know, as far as coming in, if we're not having the program, we're not spending the money. So you'll see some numbers where the budget's a little high as far as expenditures, but we haven't spent the money. So,
On line item 374, it went from $300 to $20,000.
help me, 374.
Equipment repair and maintenance.
Yeah, equipment repair and maintenance.
Yeah, I was just highlighting.
Give me a second, 4,600?
Page 73.
3365.
That's expenditures. That's on 3365. That's Paul's group. We have nothing to do with expenditures. We only do the revenue side of it. I apologize. Yeah,
Okay.
it's under Paul's expenditures. It's under his department. So I'm not sure what they're doing
Okay,
there.
all right.
So, yeah.
Well, technically, it's not, what is Public Works? I mean,
Yeah,
Paul and Mike Strom have
explain
They've
to us
increased
what
it.
that
They'll
is.
increase it. Yeah.
We'll
Yeah.
talk about that.
But it's under parks, and I-
Yeah, exactly. But the revenue side is all we have there. So, but again, everything pretty much stayed the same in 4,500, 46, and 47 as far as expenditures go. We really haven't changed much of anything. Kept everything the same. From a revenue standpoint, again, I feel like we did very well. 3365, which is page 42 of the revenues, and again, that's where we are. What you're going to see here is a little skew. If you look here at pavilion rentals,
What page is that?
let's say page 42, revenue, page 42.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to find.
Okay, you'll see under pavilion rentals, 8,160. If you don't mind
Excuse
looking
me,
at,
Paul.
yep,
I'm on page 42 and it
Revenue.
says.
revenue. Look under
Revenue.
revenue,
Revenue.
revenue, page 42.
Revenue.
The very bottom.
42
Look at the page.
revenue.
Towards the front.
Thank you.
So if you look at that number, I just want you to just look at something and then look over 3365 on page 43, on 4,600 revenue. And I want you to see the pavilion rentals there is 64,415. What happened there, if you look, there were 8,160 and the other one's 69,415. I just want to make you understand, we are now in the process of switching over we switched over to AccuFund at the beginning of the year. These numbers that are in 3365, that was prior to AccuFund. What happened was we went to AccuFund, now our system with RecTrack doesn't mess with AccuFund. So we had to put some temporary numbers in there, and once we got them in there, everything that we brought in, whether it was pavilion rentals, ball field rentals, everything went into this 4,600 number. There's nothing we can do about it, and Josie can attest, but within the next 2 weeks, our RecTrack system is being redone, along with the senior center, it's being redone. It is now, part of their job is to mesh AccuFund and RecTrack together.
That'll be on November the 11th, we're going to start that.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
So that's going to happen. So the number, again, I apologize, it's a little skewed, but it's there, but it's unfortunate it's in two different, just one location. I talked to Josie today, she said, there's just nothing we could do. It's just the way it worked out. And right now, what's happening is, upstairs, they're actually having to enter it by hand because of this. So the front desk, Holly, is doing everything by hand. Before, we would just transfer it up there in the system, they'd get it, put it into their system, so that's where we are with that, so, okay? That was really the only thing that I wanted to talk about. Everything else is, again, we're moving forward, things are going well.
Well, you were saying the camp attendance had dropped, and then the quote also mentioned that you guys had wanted to partner with them to help work with the camps, and they
Absolutely.
couldn't because they didn't have the people. So that
Right.
may all help change for next
Yeah.
year,
I-
as well as people are getting a little bit more, not as afraid
Yeah.
to have.
I'm really excited about working with the library, and I think we have an opportunity there to do some things together.
Yeah.
I think it's important. I think we have a lot of positive things going on. We are still working on the bridge down at Valley Park. It's in Paul's possession right now, but we just met the other day about it. We have some thoughts and some ideas. We have a lot of positive things coming up. I think that I'm excited about it
Yeah.
more than ever. So,
Yeah, good.
It's good.
Good.
anybody?
I think-
Council, any
I just want to say thanks for a great job.
Yeah, I appreciate, and I think, you weren't here, but the Green Lake thing we might put off for another date. We're gonna double check. So,
Okay,
if
just
case,
let
I'll
me
get you
know.
the directions in case you need to get over there.
I found it. I found
Okay,
it.
good. Called me for directions the other day for it. I'm like,
He
I'll
just
come
moved-
pick
he
you up
just
and
moved
take
to
you.
Garden- He just moved to Garden City.
I thought you'd
I
enjoy
didn't
that.
realize it was an actual park. I've been by it 100 times.
Sure.
I just
That's
didn't
okay.
realize-
I just,
Nice job,
yeah,
Paul.
I appreciate it. Thank
Beautiful,
you.
though.
All right, good. All right.
Very good. Last
Thank you,
but
Paul.
certainly
Thank you very much.
not least,
Karen, you sure you're okay?
We'll
take a
just
5-minute
see-
recess.
See who's
Yeah,
coming up
CC
to
was
the
coming up,
podium.
that's why.
5-minute recess.
All about expenditures.
Meeting is back in
Page
session.
29.
Page 29, we're back
Under
in
what-
session,
what-
out of recess.
Yeah, under what revenue?
Expense,
Pardon me?
expense, that's all the police do.
That's all the police, it's all.
There's no revenue with police.
They just cost us money.
That's it.
We are still in our budget hearing for our 2022 budget. We are at our police
The
chief,
left-hand
Doug
turn at
Cole.
John F. Last-
You say 39 or 29?
29.
Thank you.
I couldn't read.
Chief, welcome.
Since you're recording me, I'm gonna use our new body cameras that you guys funded to record you guys. How's that?
Oh,
All right.
I'm just joking, I just wanted to show everybody that this is what the Monroeville police officers are now wearing. They're wearing a body camera that's tied into their in-car camera. They're synchronized. We've had very good luck with them, been in them since the beginning, end of August-ish, we got into them.
So you say it's, as soon as they step out of their car, it's on?
It's on, that's correct.
So they don't have to activate it?
Anybody's,
like
well, it depends on what, they can't activate it, but it
They
can
don't have
also
to
be
activate it.
triggered based on the type of response that they have.
Perfect.
Is it audible too?
It has audio also, yes.
Oh, yes, it is.
Yeah,
So,
29.
this one obviously is
State
off, but
grant.
I was just showing it to everybody that, you know, on behalf of the police department, it seems like we've worked our way into them pretty successfully. We spent a lot of time discussing the procedures for them with the bargaining unit group, they were very cooperative. And, obviously, the expenses that the municipality put, it's about a $250,000 expense, that part of it. The second part of that is currently being done now, which is gonna be the record management system, how this is being stored on servers so that it automatically attaches to the traffic stop or the actual incident report that the officers generate. So, a great thing, so far we've been, knock on wood, they've been very successful, we've gotten pursuits on them, we've had unfortunately some serious crimes on them, interviews that have all been very conducive to good law enforcement.
Wonderful.
Hey, Chief, how are they attached? How are they attached to the?
This kind of unique how they do it. They actually thought a little bit. We have a couple different types of attachments. If I don't hurt myself with this magnet, this is a very strong magnet.
Okay.
I could put it on my shirt here right now, as I'll show you here in a second. Make sure I got it right. And it just connects to even through a shirt, and then I can just hang it on here.
Hopefully, it's a pretty strong magnet, so during a tussle or something like that, it doesn't come off.
Yeah, when you use them with a regular shirt, this is a little bit heavier with a
Yeah.
sweater, but we have different attachments with them also. So let me get this right here so that it'll work.
I was wondering if it was Velcro or what, you know?
Put me on the spot here. Huh? But now, once you get this attached, it's pretty,
Okay,
it stays on pretty good, and it'll just be a matter of, I'm good to go.
Gotcha.
And that can be put on any outside shirt. We also have some type of brackets that have clips to them.
Okay,
You can
yeah.
clip them onto your shirt. And of course, when you get, it goes on the outside bracket. It goes on the outside, whatever you're wearing, jacket or whatever.
Hey, Chief, can we do audio without permission?
We can. Under the, one of the things that they did about 3 years ago, the state of Pennsylvania got some good advice, I think. And they actually came out and had legislation because they wanted departments to go to body cameras. And we had some bad case law that indicated if we went into somebody's house with this camera and audio on, not the video, but the audio was, it's called a Wiretap Act violation, that we would be in violation of that, actually in violation of felony. They made an exception for law enforcement. There's only two things we have to have. We have to have be in uniform identifying us a police officer, which could just be a raid jacket or something with police on it, or be in regular uniform. That you know that they're police officers. So anytime you talk to a police officer in public in his official duties, he's allowed to audio and videotape you by law in the state of Pennsylvania. Very good. Our officers will try to inform people that they have them on, but they don't have to. It's just a courtesy.
bless you.
Thank you.
So I appreciate the funding council did for that.
Shake the
It
brand.
certainly made a difference, I think, in how we're operating, and it's all for the better.
Agreed. So, welcome, Chief. You want to get into your budget? You want to start with the expenditures?
Okay, anybody questions?
No?
I mean, obviously, we have to look at staffing. We've had this year, we actually just literally, the 24th, 2 or 3 days ago, Officer Dan Whalen retired. So we're now currently, as we sit, 42 sworn officers, including me. So, we have to really decide where we want staffing to be. That would be the only question I would have of council.
Weren't
The other thing to put it, the
Are
other
we
thing,
telling you that we would like you to be at 46?
yeah, 46 to 48 was we've
Yeah.
discussed in the past.
Yeah.
Which, the other issue that's going to catch us pretty quickly here is that we have officers eligible to retire as early as February next year, another 2 or 3. So,
How we do with the testing, though, the new list?
Well,
Where are we with
that's-
that? That
well-
seemed to be the problem before.
that's a very good question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Was our new ordinance that was passed with the civil service ordinance that I have sitting here obviously opens us up to being able to have testing with people that do not have the police training, or the Act 120 as we call it. I just sent a email up to the manager this morning. We hope to advertise next week.
Perfect.
Start accepting applications, I believe, the 9th of November, with them, that period being open till the 30th of November.
Fantastic.
And then we're going to hopefully test before the end of the year. But as you understand, the written test is really the first easy part of it. Then it gets into, obviously, the oral interview, the background that we have to do, the polygraph, physical agility, interviews on top of that. So, and then a conditional offer of employment, plus the psychologicals and the things that we have to do for the state and for just.
So everyone realizes it's quite a lengthy process to
It may
bring
take-
someone
We
on.
probably won't be able to hire someone until at least the end of the first quarter next year at the earliest, and that's if they have Act 120. If they don't, then they're gonna have to wait. We're gonna lose another 6 months there.
Yeah.
So we may not have people, if we send them to the academy, we're not gonna have people back even available to us till sometime this time next year.
Yeah.
In the September, November timeframe.
So, Chief, under your budget, under salaries, what do you currently have? Is that for the 42 officers? Or is,
Do we know?
On what, which page are you on?
Well, right now, if you want to look at police administration, if you want to go to the patrol, we haven't divided between patrol and detectives. We only have 2 divisions right now. We're currently funded for 5 detectives, which we are at staffing there. And then right now, as we sit, we have 36 officers in patrol.
Didn't we kept the same amount of employees for the budget, I believe, as what you had, because
Was it 42 then?
I believe 42,
It was either
43.
42 or 41 in patrol then. Because 42, 5, and me makes 48. And I think we didn't budget for, I think we budgeted for 46.
Yeah, I'd have to get back.
we just want to make sure we have that.
Yeah.
To try to plan for next year as far as testing, as far as
Absolutely.
how many people we have, what the vision is of the department.
And again, they're different
Make sure the
rates
money's
too,
there.
because obviously new hires are a lot cheaper than someone that's been there for 7, 8 years, or obviously been there for 25 years and retired.
And you're due for promotions?
Promotions are gonna happen, November 9th. That test is being given. That'll move quickly. I assume we'll be promoting, before the end of the year. That's my goal. Get the oral
Corporals
interviews.
and
and
sergeants.
get-
Lieutenant?
Tim, I see the social security issue through this whole thing.
Excuse me?
You gonna test for a
Numbers.
lieutenant?
No, we're just testing for sergeants
Yeah, I
and
think we're talking
corporals.
about how they're spreading out.
And those
Yeah,
tests are
it is.
scheduled for November
Look on
9th.
page 35.
And do you know how many are actually testing
Highlighted it.
at this
Yeah, I
point?
do right now, yeah.
Something's wrong.
All the current corporals, I think 6,
Unless they've changed how they want
for
to
sergeant,
get through it.
and I have those files downstairs. I think it's 13, maybe 15 for corporal.
How many slots do you have for sergeant?
Well, we're still open for that. Yeah, there's 6 corporals that are eligible to test for sergeant.
Right, so, but how many sergeants?
Currently, right now, we have 1 sergeant.
Right,
We've at times had as many as 3 or 4
and
sergeants
you
in
need
patrol.
a minimum of 3 though, right?
We need a minimum of 3,
Right.
and we need one of the corporals that's testing is the supervisor in detectives. He could remain there as a
Okay,
sergeant.
and he'll still be sergeant then.
He'll just be in detectives.
Fantastic.
We did budget this time around for a deputy chief in the
Right.
administration side of it, so that is in there. We raised some money up in telephone and telegraph. I believe we also looked at some radio maintenance. We raised that a little bit. When you get into, and I'm jumping a little between the two of them from administration, yeah, just basically, yeah, contract service fees in the administration plus the deputy chief, they were raised compared to this year, currently 21 budget. In emergency communications, which is the next page on 31, we raised up a little bit in telephone, telegraph, and of course, radio repair. We only raised that up a few $1,000s each. There's nothing dramatic. If you get the police patrol, which is on page 33, we raised up seminar expenses. I want to send some officers to some different types of training, so that's the reason that just raised that up a couple $1,000s. And then we raised also service contracts from 85 to 100. We've had more contracts with both involving everything from our radios to taser maintenance to the Lexipol, which is our policy procedure development, which we're, that's part of the accreditation process,
Well, that was going to be my other question. So you see some of that as the expand on the accreditation process?
Absolutely.
Could you outline that a
how
little
we
bit
get
more?
to that. Yeah, the Lexipol's been a really a great system.
Tell council, I think that's a great program.
It's unbelievable, yeah. And
tell council about
all
that.
all that stuff that we did with Lexipol, I was, and again, I gotta give some credit to the bargaining unit, because they sat there, and we went through our procedure manual, which was 600 pages, it's now 900 pages. But we went through that manual page by page and made sure we got everything, ironed out between all of us. But they also did it understanding that it had to meet accreditation standards, which is what Lexipol was telling us. So when we were sitting there doing this conference call with everybody involved in it, a Zoom meeting, we could sit there and go over it line by line and make sure that it met the accreditation standard, as well as met any state and federal law that we needed to meet. So I'll take our policy manual to anybody, against anyone. And in addition to that, it also is going to help us in the accreditation process in Pennsylvania, but it also has us have mandatory updates. I send out what they call daily training bulletins. They're really not daily. I send out around 6 to 10 a month, and the guys have to go over them, acknowledge them, and go over scenarios and put it toward our policy. Does it meet policy? Is it not under policy?
That's what I
And
think
do all
is
that.
really, really good. The guys, they have to, it shows that they have read this, that this is the update to the policy, whatever laws change, so they're constantly updated, and they read it. I think it's.
And January,
Doug
like
showed it
the
to me a couple months
first
ago.
day of the month, I send them out. I've gone them over. I review them before they go out and make sure that they meet our policies, because we have tweaked the policies, and these are national policies. So, but I keeping that, and it tracks all of that, as well as it tracks when we issued the policy manual, everybody had to acknowledge it. So it went by chapter. They had to go read, now how much they read, but certainly reviewed. I, every year, have been reviewing the use of force policy that we have in place here, which is a national policy. We follow the national standards. We don't put, and our state standards. We don't put any more restrictions on the officers, but we make sure that they understand what the state law says and what the national law says, as well as what we're seeing on a national basis and state basis through court cases. So that is all reviewed, and if something comes up, Lexipol will notify us and say, hey, your state law just changed, or something changed at the federal level. We've looked at your policy, you might want to look at this, and they tell us. And we look at it, some we accept, some we don't. If it's law and we have to accept it, we accept it. If it's not, there's some tweak there, we can tweak that. So we try to police according to the needs here of our community.
Yeah, because of the increase in, so do we have enough to maintain the Lexipol capability?
Absolutely, that's what that's about. That's part of it.
Great.
But that contract, that's another contracted services. I think initially it was going to cost us, because, they took our initial manual, our policy manual that we had, that we just threw chapters in, we had to add stuff to it, really going back to '07, when the bargaining unit agreed to it. So they took that manual and they redid that whole manual into their format. And so when we started, that's why it took us a year to go through it. When they went through, we went through everything. It was a pain in the room. We went through line by line to make sure we were doing everything the same way we were doing it now. If there were things that we had to change a little bit, everybody was on the same page. So we keep that up Yeah, I would
That's
strongly,
great
I've told,
service.
I know Plum just went to it, Penn Hills went to it, they've all gone, I mean, the neighboring communities are all jumping on board on this. And it's, you know, they're not really big in the eastern part of the country. Out in California, every police department in California and the West Coast, they've been doing it for years. That's where it originally came out.
Very good.
So, and the other thing it does, it prevents having to make policy manuals in the binders. It's all electronic. I can pick up my phone here, and I can bring you up Alexa pull policy if I wanted to look at it in my phone. They're all electronically, or they can do it from any internet-based, everybody's got a username, password to access it.
And you see this as a big key towards department certification.
That's exactly
and
what's
accreditation in the department, which puts us
big-
in a better position, if I understand it correctly, for
And-
anything else that we face.
The only thing
simply
we have
by
to
where we live.
give to the state, and we could talk about having some of those policies publicly, but there are policies that aren't public, i.e. pursuit policies, very, very few of them in the system. So we can look at how we want to do that in the future, because in theory, we could put it online just by a stroke of a couple keystrokes. And I guess that maybe we should go back to what they're talking about with this in the body cameras. Alexa pulls part of that too. The reason we're able to do that is because of a robust IT department. And the fact that I have people in IT downstairs is making a world of difference. Matter of fact, I've had more than one officer come up to me and say that was the best hire that we've done. So the IT side of this is, you know, so hats off to Tina, you know, to Robert, to Neva, certainly to Brian. Brian's the one that's assigned to me, and they're people we want to keep. So just so everybody understands, I mean, none of this stuff happens without IT background, because there's always little things that go wrong. Cameras, someone didn't push the right button, didn't load it up right, the battery didn't work. Brian takes care of that liquidly, right off the bat, quick as can be.
Chief, does that come out of your budget?
I think that he's in my support services, right, Brian?
Yes, he
Yeah,
is.
he is.
Your IT guy?
Yes.
Yeah, I have the communication side, it's also under my purview there, or responsibility. They have their own, they come on, they're in all in that budget, but anything in support service, I think, includes Dave O'Neill, Michelle,
Michelle.
and of course, Brian.
No, I think Michelle's in your,
Admin.
yeah,
I think
she's
we
in
moved
chief.
him, Josie, maybe double check that. Okay, I thought we moved that a few years back. I thought we took it out of admin. Okay,
Yeah.
she could be an admin too, yeah, because they were in the past, they were in the police administration.
Yeah, if you want to change it, we could do that.
No, I'm good, if wherever's convenient, we don't have to change anything, just so we know where, but I thought we'd moved that around, but, so then the only two people that are in support services are gonna be
Yes.
Brian and, sorry.
Tim, can we go over a couple numbers on page 33? Whereas the 2021 budget was 0 for 193 Medicare, and now it's 71,000. And then the pension was 2.2, and now it's 1.4. Is that based on retirement and new hires, or is there something wrong with them numbers?
All right, let's, okay, take the Medicare, Medicare con,
I can answer that.
Okay.
It's because AccuFund breaks Medicare and Social Security contributions out. Previously,
that's why.
it was just one line item.
Okay,
So
okay.
if, you know. if
Is
you
that why
look-
we're seeing such a discrepancy with all
That
these
could be on
social
the Social
security
Security,
numbers
why the
throughout,
Social
Joe?
Security-
Yes, that's exactly why.
Okay, because Tim and I we keep, every time.
well, yeah, and that
Like-
goes back to the library too, because
Yes.
I didn't know the
Yes.
Medicare was broken out, I don't,
Okay,
no, because so that's .045 for Medicare and.
Yeah, it's-
that's making
you know, for
sense
Social
then. So what
Security. All
about
right.
this, what about this pension insurance, though? Going from 2.2 down to 1.45?
Well, actually, the actual, though, what's interesting is the actual is
Is
109.
Which is totally
Where's-
not right.
Line 197, the employee's pension insurance.
Okay.
That's in
Yeah.
That's-
2120.
Our MMO was not paid at the time
Yeah.
that this was printed.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
now the
Well, we did
2.2 down to 145 for
What is
next
the-
year.
Why would that
Yeah,
go up so much?
Which one?
The budget of 21 of 2.2
Um,
down to 1.4.
probably
They're
in
ins-
anticipation of
Retirement?
the people that have retired and newer employees coming
Okay.
in.
I know that's not something you would
The
be
new
able to,
employees,
that's all.
Yes.
Because that, of course, is going to be less.
Yeah, because for the first 6 months, you know, they're not eligible.
Right.
If he's saying that we might not have them hired, so
Yeah.
there isn't gonna be,
So there's gonna be
Hmm.
savings, and that's part of
Plus-
what's being shown.
plus it's
$700,000
5% of the wage, so
Right.
if you're,
700,000.
At the beginning and not at the end, it's a whole lot less money.
correct.
Gotcha. Just,
I
I'm
mean, there's
just,
three, am I correct here? There's three that retired this year, right?
We,
Highoff, Crut, and.
Let's see, Dan.
And Dan, I think it's just three. So there's three people have retired throughout this year at the police department. Oh, Allison, there's four people.
I was
Sorry.
gonna say,
yeah,
I
Allison
thought
went
there
Four
was
people
more
retired.
than that.
So we've lost four people through attrition.
Crut,
Retirement, yeah, Crut,
Allison.
Allison, Highoff.
and how many
Oh, we
did
have
we
four.
bring in?
Four, yeah, four.
How
Four
many
people.
new hires did we have this year?
Zero.
Zero.
Yeah,
That was,
Yeah, we've
Yeah.
not hired, the list is expired. or we're
Right.
not- We don't hire enough for the
Right.
list. We've kind of exhausted the whole list. That's the other
right,
issue,
that's
too.
why I asked you about it, because I knew that. But then I also knew with
Yeah.
that new change was gonna help
So
us
we-
be
we-
able
So
to.
just confirm those numbers are right.
On the current-
Central.
Yeah, just how some of them are,
The pension insurance
widely
really is the
off.
only,
If
Something
I
like
was
the
to
active
run
fund.
this report now, since September's over, I believe we paid that in September, the MMO, it would be up comparatively for the pension.
okay.
so really, the budget looks like it's dropped $600,000 for the police patrol.
It does, and that is due to, I'm
The retirements and
thinking
the
it's
new
the
hires you think?
retirement.
Can we
and
just
the new
verify, because
hires.
that's a lot.
It is a lot.
We'll verify it.
Okay, that's all.
I'll verify
All we're
those
asking.
numbers.
Well, we were
Don't be trying to think of
46
something
here.
else to spend it on, Doug, in
Oh,
case.
no, I already got it.
I'm sure you
can save us
do.
money if you want
He
to.
will.
It's all
too,
right,
'cause
the
he-
wheels
he
are-
and
I
Paul,
can-
'cause, you
I
know,
saw the
Paul comes up
smoke.
here next week.
There's
There's
all
no
that.
water. Please don't start that again.
No, please don't.
Please don't.
All right, Chief, next item.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. You know, criminal investigation pretty much stays the same. We're still funding five, you know, with a supervisor, five detectives total, including a supervisor. Support services, if Josie says we're only, we have two civilian employees in there.
This is where
That's
your
what we're
IT
taking.
guy is, right?
IT
Yeah.
guys in there,
Yeah.
correct? I'll take another one if you want to give me another one.
Sure. Oh, yeah. mhm.
School crossing guards aren't really gonna change at all. Stays pretty much the same. Actually, we still have to get an alternate. We have only four locations what we're covering right now. We split that with the school district.
That's good. I remember a couple of years ago, you couldn't get any.
Well, we're still having that issue. We need one more person at least to start on a part-time basis. Part-time, because they're
Right,
part-time
right.
employees anyway. Yeah.
Okay.
And then, you know, the Public Safety Training Center is gonna stay pretty much exactly the same. We're not changing anything. So, I mean, obviously, as the budget plays itself out, we just gotta figure out the staffing that we wanna be at. We're gonna have the testing procedures in place. The supervisors will be in place too, and we just gotta move forward with hiring.
And one more time about the new hire situation as far as the list, and you gave some dates, I'm sorry.
Okay, well, we're gonna hopefully have their applications back by the end of November.
So
We're
your
gonna
windows
advertise
are
here.
open for applications
Will be
starting-
like next week, we'll be
Okay.
starting, yeah, as
And
soon as
that'll
we
be on
can.
our website as far as,
Well, it'll be on a website, we're also gonna, I think, advertise in the Post,
Yeah, we have to in the Post-Gazette.
in the Post Gazette, so we're gonna advertise in the Post, and then, so we'll start selecting or taking applications,
Mayor, I have one question.
and then, I mean, that's
very
pretty
good.
much it, yeah.
Mr. Harvey.
This is for Tim and Doug, I guess. The procedure for hiring the assistant chief, besides advertising, is it testing, interviewing? What happens there?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, on that issue right there, I would advertise in a lot of different publications. I think the Chiefs of Police has a magazine out across.
Yeah, PA chiefs too, right?
Yeah, I would advertise in all of those, and Doug and I can sit down and put together whatever the criteria is as far as what goes into the ad. Send it out. Obviously, you get resumes in by a certain amount of time, and basically, what I think we should do in that area is, I've kind of gathered, I haven't even talked to Doug about this, is maybe there should be kind of a committee doing that, maybe Doug.
Oh, I
me.
was thinking that maybe you and Doug and Mr. Sadler and two council people, or maybe a council person.
A council person, something like, yeah, I think there should be some kind of a committee doing that. It's just like the people you just said, you know?
And then the consideration also for a service to conduct.
Only thing is,
uh,
I wanted to
selection.
proceed forward this time. You must admit, we've mentioned this several years in a row.
We had it budgeted for 20, then the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
And that and the assistant manager, we had the pandemic hit, I was ready to move forward with them, and we didn't do it only because of the pandemic. And we're gonna move forward with this beginning in January on both of them.
Okay, just keep us informed, I guess.
All right.
Very good. Council, any other questions for the police chief? Keep up the good work, sir. Thanks for coming out.
Just a little bit,
Capital?
talk about your capital, I was just gonna say that, that's,
Wanna go
you know,
with that?
yeah, go over your capital.
Want a new
I
police
thought we-
station?
Without it.
Josie, we got a number of these pages in the future.
Oh, yeah,
okay?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey, Chief, thanks for a great job.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
He's sticking around a little longer.
Just a little bit
Go ahead.
longer.
5 more
I got
minutes.
I got 5 more minutes, that's it. That's correct. I agree.
Another 5.
Another
Well,
5.
if there's a Schedule 2 there, facilities improvement, I'll help out Doug here. Police, Doug, you want to talk about for next year, basically, you have $100,000 in there. You want to talk about, you probably don't have that there.
I don't.
You put in $100,000, you talking about the squad
Here.
room and things.
Do you want a copy of it?
Yeah, we'll do
This,
that.
there
See what you got.
you go.
I mean, obviously, we have to budget, we made some moves here because we got 2 of the new cars, the hybrid vehicles that we've got, one of them on the road now, the other one should be on the road within the next couple of weeks.
How they doing?
They're doing well. I mean, we have some issues with tweaking some stuff, how we mount inside it, but for the most part, I mean, there's been no issues with starting off on battery power and then the motor kicks in. So, so that's the vehicles we want to continue to replace them on a
No,
basis
what
of
schedule?
getting somewhere between 4 or 5 a year,
Okay.
which is where we've always wanted to be. That keeps our fleet pretty fresh. It also keeps us able to put technology in it and keep it up and running.
How many vehicles are in the capital?
Uh,
Or do we have some in the
5.
budget itself, Tim?
Yeah, 5.
5 in the
4,
budget?
4 or 5, wait.
Okay, wait.
4 or 5.
In-
Doug says he can get away with 4.
Tim, which one?
did
Are
say
they in
that?
the
I
real
don't remember
budget or are
saying
they in the wish?
They're in the budget, the real budget.
Thank
We're-
you.
We have to buy police cars.
Thank you.
There's no
That's
doubt
what I'm.
about it. I don't want to get
I
behind on
thought we
that.
had to.
I
It
think it's
depends if
5.
the chief needs a new car or not that day.
Okay.
So
But
how
Doug says he
many hoses-
might only be able to get.
Well, and really, I'm seriously, we look at these on how they're being used.
5.
We're
It's
keeping them for
5.
100,000 miles now a year. Tim, we
Yeah.
are trying to keep for 100. So when we get, this year, we're going to end up with a total of 6 because we ordered early. Because right now, if we would order a
Can't
car
even get
right
them.
at this
You might
minute,
not even get
we
them
wouldn't
next year.
get a car to this time next year.
Right.
A car.
I have a friend that had to pre-order his, just a regular car, not
It's a
even.
regular car. So
Yeah.
that whole supply chain's all messed up. So, but
The
we
chip.
did get 4 more that are coming in before
Plus
the
the
end of the year, we
computer
hope.
chips, too.
And that should hold us over, even if we get no cars next year.
Yeah.
And you should not
Did you
get.
get
And what
Mr.
this
Yugas
also
one?
does, so council knows too, is we're taking, and taking these vehicles, and we want to change them out a little bit earlier, because we're giving them the code enforcement and building
Right.
inspection, as you know.
Yes.
And they could still be used for 2-3 years, and they could
Well,
put
Tim, I think they stay in the fleet pushing 10 years somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. they
Yeah.
really do.
for the code enforcement.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, look at Paul Hugis's car.
But let's not.
Yeah, he
Let's-
makes a big
That's
stink.
Marshall's old car, isn't it?
And that's a credit to our maintenance.
It's one of my old cars, yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
2
We
years.
finally got rid of
two cars
Marshall's old car. That was Bill Crutch. Yeah,
that was
one of
Crutch,
the
that's right,
detectives,
that's
yeah.
Is there action on the
He had to go to a van then.
operating
Ron
budget
was talking.
separate from the capital budget?
Yes,
Yes.
So we can review this and
yeah.
modify it, and not affect
That-
the operating budget.
What's in that draft of the capital, that is stuff to alert you of what the community needs, or what the department heads need, as I said at the outset of the meeting here. I'm not looking for council to take, I mean, that's up to you, though, I mean.
I'm saying it's a separate discussion.
Correct,
Correct.
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 We got a little more budget. I mean, well, obviously, facilities improvement. Remember, downstairs is being used 24/7. Downstairs meaning the police department. and it's a little bit different than the rest of the building here. But 24/7, we need to put some, from anything from furniture to even rearranging. When that building was built 20 years ago now, over 21 years ago, it was designed for like VHS videotapes in the cars. That stuff's all gone. We don't need that anymore. We have different ways of doing our evidence that we store. We do, obviously, evidence room's always hurting for space, but we could do something different down there by putting some money into it, not just paint on the walls. We've had issues with water, all the things that go with that, how we have it set up. I mean, I think you're looking at a major overhaul of the building, at least on the police floor. I would recommend that. So I've been trying to put a couple $100,000 in to do that, but in the same breath, that shouldn't be done in a vacuum. That should be done more with the whole things of what you think you need to do with the municipal building here, which is, again, is 20 years old. Yeah, I know Paul's talking about the Public Works building, which is really, really old, but those type of things, when you look at that, that's just something that, it certainly helps also with how the future of how the department may run. If you're looking at facilities and we're gonna be doing something different, I don't wanna get into all we may be doing different, like scheduling wise with officers, having a facility where an officer could have a locker room and go in and use it appropriately is an appropriate thing to have for a
You
police
don't have the
department that has
space for
50
that
guys.
now, though, right?
We have some
There
stuff
is a
downstairs.
So his idea
The
of the
records
could work for that?
Absolutely, we have a records room now that doesn't need to be as big as the
I
records, it's
gotcha.
all electronic. I've been every year, going back 20 years, following the archival, I've been doing that for now, since 97, so I guess I've been doing it for 20 years, going back and destroying those records that we don't need to keep per the state guidelines. You guys approve it every year.
Okay.
So that gives us more room down there. There's a lot of space that could still be used more appropriately, I think.
Is there money in this-
Especially for the departments how
this-
gonna move forward in the
this
next
one?
direction.
Not for, as far as the
For-
locker rooms are concerned, if you look on.
No, is there, not just locker rooms, is there?
Yeah, he has
There-
$100,000.
There's,
Correct.
okay, all right.
That's more or less for the squad room. But what Doug is talking about, because of body cameras and things of
Right.
that nature, there may be a change of how the officers come in.
Right.
They may not be picked up and things of that nature. We don't know yet. This is just all preliminary. And Doug's talking about, we do have a locker room downstairs, but it does not have a shower. It needs upgraded.
Okay,
All right, and expanded into the records room, because that's just a divider there
Yeah.
that could be taken out.
but that could be added into what you're talking about in the
Correct.
capital. Like you
That's
say,
why
you're
the
gonna- when
capital
you do it,
improvement program is
together at the
is
same
a work in
time.
progress.
That's
Yeah.
correct.
So
So,
we need male and female facilities.
Very good
Do you
point,
have them
Bob.
now?
Very good point.
we don't.
You don't have them.
And, well, we really don't know, not for locker room, we just got a bunch of old
What
lockers.
do you do for female police
So
officers?
they have bathrooms for them, that's it.
Yeah.
But the building was not designed thinking about, hey, we come here, it wasn't designed, it was designed for a more, the way we did it, old way, let's put it that way. And not that you can't, you have space, there's 10,000, if I'm correct, if I remember correctly, there's 10,400 square feet on each floor here.
Yeah.
It's about a little 40,000 in the building here, including the basement. So there's some space here that can be used and used differently and be more productive for the department, I think. I certainly believe that is,
Yeah.
I've been in a lot of police stations over my career.
Especially Penn Hills.
And well, especially Penn Hills. Now that Penn Hills has got a nicer, but Penn Hills, but they had the time, it was that, if we would be building this building now, we would do it differently. It's just,
Right.
that's the way it
It's
is.
just a-
It's 20
Times,
years
the
different.
change of
What
times,
about
yeah.
male and female lockups?
We
Jail
don't,
cells?
we don't,
Are they
we
separated?
separate them, though, we just separate them from the same cells, we don't put them together. And we don't put more than one person in a cell, very, I'm talking one time in 30-year type stuff. We just don't do that, we keep people in their separate cells, or we secure them differently.
How many
How many
cells
cells
do you
do you
have
have?
here?
Right now, we have 4 hard cells and we call 2 soft cells. 4 with the doors that's shut and 2 that are just locked rooms that we, all our
Mainly used
juveniles in.
Well, to
Mainly
upgrade that
used for
space
juvenile,
on-
right?
Absolutely for juveniles, correct.
To upgrade that space on there, that would also help keep everybody safer too. I
Sure,
would think.
absolutely. I mean, it's all about, we've already talked about camera systems in the building here need to be upgraded. They're 20
Yeah.
years old. And then you talk about the locking system for the doors and different things that we have to do. Those are
We have
big,
talked about
that's
it.
why there's a big picture here, not just our floor, but the police department.
Is that, yeah,
One thing, a little off, kind of with the police, not on the police, and I think I may have mentioned it to some council members, I think I mentioned it to Ron or somebody the other day. I told Josie to put a separate tab, we're gonna have a separate tab for building security. So each department, like police, the Senior Citizen Center, the Public Works, and even the library to a certain extent, not having them divvied up. I think it's better for the elected officials, and even the public for that matter, to see the building security in a single tab on what that's going to cost, because we've been talking about that before the pandemic.
Right.
And obviously, that slowed it down and everything and put it to a stall. Now we're kicking all this stuff back up, and I think, and I put it underneath there so everybody can see what that's going to cost.
Don't you
It's in
think?
here?
don't you
We
think
have it under, yes,
It's in the.
yes.
It's the next page.
Tim,
Okay.
Tim, should we
Schedule
go back to
3.
the state police report, safety report that
That's,
they did?
yeah, that's part of it, yeah. That's not, that's,
Because these doors right here are vulnerable, and we talked about that 3-4 years ago.
well,
Yes.
2 years ago, I think.
Well, whatever it was.
2 years
It was longer than 2 years. But anyway,
2.5.
they need to be changed.
Yeah. Okay. No, Tom, you are
And I've
correct.
been telling you that for 2 or 3 years.
You're talking about the handles on them, right?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, all right.
yeah. All they need to do is come put chain locks on them and get everybody here but me. I'm going out the door.
All right, okay.
Well, so, obviously, the building improvements, some of the other things we're looking at is we need to buy new computers for the cars. The current ones that we have now are 10 years old. We've been lucky because of the IT people in our municipality. We're able to upgrade the drives on them at like only $50 a computer, which makes them run faster and be able to handle the software that we're using now, from everything from video to in-car cameras to CAD systems, computer-aided dispatch, and of course RMS. And we've actually done that also with the desktop computers. He's in the process of doing that now. Brian's doing, again, a great job with that. So computers, though, the in-car computers have gone way past their useful life. They're only supposed to last 5 years. We've got double the use out of them. They're going to be over 10 years by the time we replace them. They're a little pricey, but we got to do that for next year. That, of course, ties even into the new record management / computer-aided dispatch with the AVL, which is the vehicle locator capabilities for dispatch. We're looking at all that. And that's also one of the other reasons why we had more contract services, by the way. We have to possibly get a router in each of the cars to take care of the technology, which will be another, $50 a month per car for coverage with AT&T. So that's the next big step. And then, of course, the vehicles. I also threw in, I think, $50,000 for a drone. I was flying drones today.
Yeah, but that's further down the road. That's
I saw that in there,
24.
the drone.
They were out flying around. Well, the drones are the future here.
Yes, they
Well,
are.
I do think it's something that's needed.
The future, the problem is, we've been talked about it for a couple of years now. I haven't pulled the trigger. I could tell you that Wilkinsburg and the county sheriffs, they were up at the training center today getting their FAA license. They were using our facility. So, part of that is they gotta let the chief fly the drones. I got to fly the drones. So, but that's the next future here. 50's a little high there. We can probably get into a pretty good one for under 20 if we want to do it right. But we got to make it functional, and there's training that goes with it and the like.
And doesn't the architecture of what we just put in with the records management system and the CAD software updates also leave the door open for integrating drones?
Absolutely. The future they think is going to be with dispatch drones. Yep. That's still maybe 10 years away.
Chief,
There's
how
some
about-
FAA rules there still we got to get through.
How about we talked about this a couple years ago, putting in the neighborhoods, or in each ward, the speed limit signs, and with the cameras.
Good point. That
I mean,
unfortunately
that
kept
fell-
falling
that-
back to
that fell
just
through,
time
too.
frame. We certainly still want to do that, Tom. We need to update some of that. I don't know if every ward is doable
Well,
based on the
but-
cost, but certainly that would be another capital improvement that we should do. Absolutely.
The way
In fact, I was going to bring it up, I was going to talk about, because some of the stuff has been changing with that also, about how those units will function and how they'll function with
Well, remember
both
we saw
solar
one
power
when
and
we were
using
coming
internet
back from the
access, that you can then
EA.
hook them up and get something more than just a sign saying, slow down, you're going 30,
Right.
45. We
Right.
can actually get data from it. And that's what we want to move forward with those,
Well,
absolutely. I got them on my desk.
the biggest issue I'm hearing today is, I've had 5 phone calls last week about speeding in the ward, in my ward.
Dahlia Drive, yep, and Garden City.
Well,
We
it's
sent
Garden
police
Garden
officers
City
to-
Drive, Fieldstone, Firethorn, and these poor people are scared to death.
No,
They want to put these bumps in. I said, you're going to have to get a thing from the president to put the bumps in.
by and large, obviously speed enforcement is something that has taken a little bit of the back burner here since the COVID. And that's even on a statewide level here. That's not just at our level here.
Right, right.
I see that becoming certainly, I don't need to tell anybody here on council, we've had a pretty yucky year with pedestrian fatal crashes. Yucky year is not unprecedented, is probably a better way to put it.
Yeah.
Our vehicle fatals haven't been there, but our pedestrian fatals this year, and even if you look over a 5 or 6 year period, even pedestrians being struck have gone up.
I dare you to go out in the parkway and go 55.
Yeah.
You can't.
You get run over.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's always the issue, that's why your
know,
signs
every
are
day,
actually a
I know.
good idea, but the issue of enforcement there comes back to the radar bill. We've talked about that numerous times. How much do we want to do in the plans? How much can we do? That's the real issue. The police department, without setting up devices or putting marks on the road, cannot go ahead and just do speed enforcement.
Well,
The
on
stop
my
signs.
street, they come down from Evergreen School. There's a stop sign at Fairlawn.
Yeah, they don't stop for
They
you.
don't stop, and by the time they hit Woodhaven, they're going 60 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, there's kids out there in the morning that, waiting for the bus to go to school, and the parents walk them to the bus stop.
Well, that's something we can enforce. That's
Yeah,
not
stop
radar,
signs
not
are
speed.
enforceable.
Stop signs are
are enforceable. That's true, and we can do that, and we do that. We were sitting a little bit here on Bruner because of the cut through that Councilman Harvey they were getting complaints there. We were trying that, but I even sat over there too for a while based on that, just because it is now a cut through because of the issues with the bridge on Center Road. It's always been a cut through, but it's more of a
Right,
cut
right,
through now
right,
than it
right.
was before. So, I mean, there's some core streets here that are problematic for us. Logan's Ferry. When you look at the Haymakers, the Saunders
Yeah.
Stations,
Even on Logan's Ferry with the
not just the state routes.
bumps in the road.
And might I add, just as a side note, is our fatal pedestrian crashes though have all been on state routes.
Yeah.
They've been on State Route State Route 130, 993, State Route 48, and State Route 22. So that is, that's another issue. When all the lighting, sidewalks, whatever you want to call, that's, those, unfortunately, that's where they've occurred. And they've been tragic. But the fact is that, more enforcement seems to slow that down or prevent that. And that's what we're trying to do. We're not out to try to make money on traffic enforcement.
No.
We're out to prevent crashes and prevent
Right.
injuries and stuff like
Well, the
that.
Turnpike Commission, after they finish Center Road, moving on to the Beatty Road Bridge, so get ready for that.
That's going to knock out
The one by Boys Campus.
that's going to
Yeah.
knock out the college access too, Ron. Yeah.
Is Center Road supposed to be done by the end of the month, someone
By the
told
end of the
me?
month, well,
That's what I heard.
I thought it was
So
just
how's
3 weeks, right?
supposed to be a 3-week shutdown.
Right.
Tom, it's well noted.
Well, anyway, back to the budget.
Thanks, Chief.
Yes, please.
And just, again, obviously, public safety center upgrades too, training center upgrades. I've always tried to put some money in for that. It would be ideal at the public safety training center to where the old MS4 trailer was at, to do something positive there. We are going to get, with the help of Public Works and Councilman Harvey, we're going to get the pavilion set up there, which is great. But we'd be good to try to do something more permanent. Well, pavilion's permanent too, but I'm talking about a garage an area with garages up there with, again, bathrooms and some more help for the fire guys when they're using the training tower and in the extrication pad.
Well, we were supposed to put a set of bathrooms up there and a unisex shower so they could, because there's times they have to shower.
And but my belief is we should add garages with that too, and make it one thing, not like another classroom, but just have store, because the fire guys can use the garages to store their dirty gear and all the stuff there. It's perfect for them. So when they're doing
Well, there's
training.
gonna be a garage on this pavilion,
Yeah, I thought the first.
small one.
Yeah.
Storage.
Yeah, storage shed, yeah. And we have Connex boxes up there now. So that's a future thing with what I think we should be doing at the training center in the future. Computers. And then, of course, if we get staffing, it's not going to be 22, because obviously getting staffing back up to some type of in the mid-40s is going to be our priority for next year. But we're looking about trying to get canines back here. That's something we've been talking about for the past couple of years.
Well, I know Rotary has offered, and this was years ago,
Yeah.
to support a one dog, but you have to name it Rotary.
I'm sure we would.
I didn't hear that one, Tom, though.
Yeah.
That's kind of interesting.
But, I mean, we certainly could get funding sources for the dogs, but that's not the expense of that program. The
Right.
expense of the program, the capital expense is pretty limited, some cages you gotta buy for how you're gonna transport them in the vehicle, that kind of stuff. The expense for that is just the upkeep and the training and the actual handler expense, yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
That's an issue that you've been working with for a long time.
That's correct, absolutely.
Moving on.
So, that's it.
Chief, good?
I'm pretty good, that's what I have on my list here real quick.
And that is once again, it's a draft of the capital, which there's a lot that every department will be digging into, and it's big expenses,
Sorry.
big projects, but things that certainly need to be done to keep the community.
Obviously, the police department and I speak for, we appreciate the support that the council's done, manager and the
Well, we
council. You guys
appreciate
have
what
been-
you do.
We hope we're returning our worth in dollars here for the safety of the community. I think by and large, that's true.
Yes.
We certainly aren't an occupying force, as they say. We're part of the community. We need to help with all the people in the community, and we certainly thank people that do give us help, certainly in solving crime. So without further ado, I'll get out of here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chief.
Thanks for your time, guys.
Thanks, Chief.
And gals.
All right, council, at this point, any questions or comments? At this point, we have another budget hearing on Thursday. We certainly have multiple opportunities to deliberate the budget at our work session, at our regular council meetings, and then into December as well. But this is step one. Council, any questions, comments at this point?
No, I think we're doing well.
Thank you, Josie.
Very
Thank
good.
you,
Yeah,
Tim.
very
just
good
have one-
detail
Thank
and
you.
discussion.
Mr. Harvey? Go ahead.
Under the capital budget, on Schedule 6, you can save yourself or reapply that $120,000 towards heart monitors because the
Right.
Forbes Health System, along with the Forbes Foundation, has bought all the heart monitors.
Okay, that's, yeah, okay, you're
That's
right.
fantastic.
I did see
Yeah,
that. I was
okay,
going to
that's
bring that
fine.
Wow,
up later.
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
Yeah, that is an applause,
Right. Thank you to
Yeah.
Forbes.
very much.
Anything else, Mr. Harvey?
That's it.
Anything else, council?
Just everyone remember to vote on Tuesday.
Very good. Yes, Election Day is November 2nd, this Tuesday. Before that, though, is Halloween. Trick or treating is this Sunday, Halloween night, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. in the municipality. So if you're going to participate, have your light on, and please be careful with all the kids running around trick or treating. Our next budget hearing is Thursday, November 4th, right before our agenda setting meeting and citizens night. That will start at 6:30 p.m. for our next budget hearing. We have no one here from the public to comment on the budget at this point, so what I would like is to seek a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
There's an echo in here.
We are adjourned. Thank you.
All right.